Good morning. My name is Cindy Grossman, and as president of the Board of Trustees, I'm very happy that we're doing this climate revival service. Just to give you a little history, sometime in the beginning of the summer, I was invited to a president's Zoom call with presidents of congregations all over the country, and we were asked, can we put together a revival weekend where we'd have workshops and discussion groups and follow it up with a service on that Sunday. And my first response was, are you kidding me? Because they were saying it would be on the weekend of September 29th. I said, are you kidding me? This is the time that many congregations do in gathering. We have lots of things that we're firing up all at once. People are beginning to rejoin after the summer. It's really not the best time. And then I said in this talk, how about the election? We have so many people in our congregations who are working on the election. While we don't support any particular candidate, we do know that people are out there working. And somebody said to me, this is because of the election. We need to make informed choices. And this is why this Sunday, rather than a Sunday in the spring or whatever, is probably a really good Sunday to do it. So I reached out to Kim, who chairs our climate action team, and I reached out to Frank Kelly, who I know has a real interest in these issues. And I said, read through the material, see, is there something we can do? We don't have to do it all, but can we do something? Coincidentally, today, Frank and Maria are not with us because their daughter suffered some flooding and some other issues in Tampa. We just came through a major storm that hit some people pretty hard. I know that over 40 people died through the southeast region in that storm, and we need to think about them. But that makes climate issues even more important today. So we decided we can't do all the talks and the dialogues and the discussion groups and the workshops. We just couldn't get it together in time to begin this process. But we knew we had a Sunday when our minister was away. It's a fifth Sunday. She's not scheduled to work today. And that we had an opening to do a service. And the UUA promised us that they would guide us through that service, give us some readings, and even give us a sermon. We had the choice of doing this sermon on television or reading the sermon. Now, if anybody knows me, I lived in New York City without a television for well over a decade. I didn't have a television. I'm not a big TV fan. And I think if we could read the words, I think they somehow are taken in a little bit better. So I'm going to read the sermon. This sermon was written by Andrew Batcher. He's a professional organizer and social justice coordinator for the Potomac Partnership, a collaboration that was begun by three large Unitarian Universalist congregations, Fairfax, Cedar Lane, and River Road, from the Washington, D.C. area. Andrew was one of the 8 people who submitted to the sermon contest. He won the sermon that I'm going to read for UUA in connection with the climate justice revival. He has been a participant in many transformative movements, including the peace movement, the Occupy movement, and the Black Lives Matter movement. So these are Andrew Baxter's words for this morning that are being read or shown on television throughout the country in Unitarian Universalist congregations today. A future where we can thrive. UU Climate Justice Revival sermon by Andrew Batcher. Our planet is hurting. We know this. Our planet is hurting because of climate change and because of racism, poverty, war problems that feel so wrong and overwhelming. There is a distress in the interconnected web of life, which we are a part. Part of what brings us here as Unitarian Universalists is to learn how we carry through this together. This is a holy purpose, a wonderful reason to gather, and I invite us all to envision a future where together we shine an inspirational beacon for resilience and purpose. Many look at the climate crisis as a political struggle. I believe in some ways the political fight actually distracts us from seeing a deeper truth. We are really in a spiritual struggle to embrace a future where we can thrive. It is a struggle because embracing the future requires letting go of the past. The future is uncertain, and it's hard to let go of what we are used to. As we face climate crisis, we don't really know where we are going or how we will get there. We see many bumps in the road. People can be quite skilled at resisting good ideas, and sometimes we come up with shockingly bad ideas. We see this in the embrace of some among fascism. For environmental sustainability, we are often asked to do things that we don't know how to do. Separating recyclables is hard enough sometimes, let alone tending my own garden. Sometimes we are asked to give up things that we just don't want to give up, like air travel, for instance. All of this is stressful, and I believe the spiritual stress of change is actually fueling so much of the political divisions that we see. But these challenges are not insurmountable, and our shared faith is a source of transformation within us, between us, and beyond us. To live in a thriving future on a thriving planet, we have to step into the unknown, which is overwhelming. But we must do this because our children and our grandchildren don't have that choice. They have no option but to live in the future, and they need elders to move into that future with them. I think a lot about what it must be like to be a child now. I wonder what my youthful preoccupations might have been if climate catastrophe felt so imminent in my formative years. I really like the poet Khalil Gibran, and I'm going to quote his poem that I hear most often on children. Gibran writes, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children as living arrows are sent forth." Gibran's poem is about children and elders, but I think it could equally be about the future and the past. The future of our children is the arrow which hopefully flies from the stable bow. There is a role for everyone in building the future that we long for. I want to broaden our conversation about the climate to be about the future, because I think the future is what we really are concerned about when we talk about climate change. I speak of children to remind us that the future is not some distant abstraction, but the world of our people, a world that our people, will definitely live into. I also speak of the future because I think it helps us to see principles that I believe are vitally important for grounding a meaningful conversation about climate change. First, climate change is really not only about the climate. Second, creating a future where we responsibly address climate change will require coalitions who are committed not just to addressing climate change, but also to addressing racial justice, economic justice, gender justice, and more. I'll speak to the first point that climate change is not only about the climate. Climate crises do not exist in a vacuum independent of racial hierarchy, economic systems, or our struggles to be in community. It is hard to get a job in the middle of a hurricane or a forest fire or a global pandemic. If you're getting minimum wage, it's hard to buy vegan food or an electric car. Extractive industries like mining often operate in formerly colonized and currently exploited nations. Factories and toxic disposal sites are often placed near communities with majority low-income people of color. Politics doesn't operate on single issues. No politician is going to vote only for the environment. In this interconnected world, it just doesn't make sense for our social justice efforts to be siloed so that I speak up exclusively about the environment while you speak up exclusively about racism. What we can do is seek out locally the opportunities to contribute to the future we wish to see. In my work in Virginia, there have been attempts to ban books. We've shown up at school board meetings, held teach-ins on critical race theories, and organized a festival to celebrate banned books and the people who make them. This is work about education, censorship, race, gender, LGBTQIA+ rights, and I believe it also serves the environmental justice because it's really about supporting a progressive coalition who cares about the future. It is about the people who will inherit the future, and a sustainable planet must be part of that inheritance. Beyond politics, every day we shape the world with how we travel, what we eat, what we do, and what we choose not to do. As Unitarian Universalists, it is central to our purpose to ask how we can make space to revere the interconnected web of life, which we are all a part of. In asking this question, I think it's important not to be prescriptive, but to give each other grace and understanding, because this is genuinely hard to figure out. We need to respect the stress that we are dealing with. It is hard to let go of the past. We are used to it. And even if we know we must, it is hard to let go of it. By showing understanding, we enable each other to succeed. Now, for the second principle of what I believe is necessary to have a meaningful discussion about climate change. We need to build coalitions who are committed not just to environmental sustainability, but to racial justice, economic justice, gender justice, and more. And it follows that those who are focused on racial justice, economic justice, and gender justice benefit from building coalitions on environmental sustainability. If climate activism is your passion, You probably also care about access to health care, that people have homes, and that people are not attacked because of their race, religion, sexual orientation, or gender. And if climate activism is not your passion, you probably still want a livable future on a healthy planet. I believe that all social justice issues are really different lenses towards the same goal. It is about creating a thriving future. For people to thrive, we need a planet that thrives. I believe it also means honoring the species who shape this planet. Achieving a thriving future requires coalitions that are joined by folks of diverse backgrounds and perspectives who unite around the possibilities that are life-giving and love-nurturing. The potential of a ministerial voice for justice is really found in the vision we can articulate and live by our example. In the world of Unitarian Universalist social justice, we often find ourselves occupied in the business of developing charters and competing over small amounts of funding. What the world really wants for us is to demonstrate how we are a home, a haven, an affirming space for inspiring action and nourishment for the souls who long to shape a thriving future in the community. Many of us are here because we have found a rare sort of home. People are yearning for the haven that we can provide, far more than those we see within our walls. A future where we can thrive is intersectional. There is no sustainable future with an economy that only values the 1% or even the 10%. There is no unified coalition that could revive the planet without the embrace of the diverse cultures of the planet. And every climate activist knows that our future cannot depend solely on climate activists. A legislative victory here and there is not enough to tackle the problems of planetary overshoot. What might be enough are the masses of diverse people embracing a sustainable, beloved community. What is our role? How do we get there? It is not an easy or a straightforward road, but I think that we can make more progress with welcome and gratitude. These holy Unitarian Universalist sanctuaries have raised children, formed friendships, been a spiritual salvation and grounding, provided prophetic voices, and a glorious community that human beings seek in our abodes. There is so much to honor and celebrate in who we have been in the past. As we look to the future, we can grow on who we have been and become more fully who we wish to be. We can challenge the Eurocentric empire and create spaces of true appreciation for the diversity of people, culture, history, language, perspectives, and wisdom that we all can learn from. We can make space for emerging leaders who are committed to a thriving future to represent the diversity that is central to the Unitarian Universalist values. We can promote economies that do not force people to live on the edge, barely able to survive. We, in our congregations and by our actions, can be havens for spiritual growth in a world often chasing the bottom line. We can be a source of welcome and love and a light in the dark. And of course, we cannot do this in isolation. We must be in partnership, in coalition to make the world a better place. What we have to offer is our care, our welcome, our commitment to learn, and to support the people who are dedicated to the thriving future that we all believe in. It isn't easy. It can't be done all at once, but we sure can figure out how to do something right and build on what we do right and keep building. We reach a goal, perhaps a green sanctuary goal, and then we build towards the next goal. This is holy work. We have something to offer, and the world is thirsty for our inspiration. I am grateful for the planet, which is the source of all I see and love. I am grateful for Unitarian Universalism, which has accepted me when others would not. I am grateful to those who raised and guided me, those who will carry on when I am gone, and for everyone near and far who is united in the common cause of liberation. Our potential is magnificent. Let's build a world where everyone can celebrate and carry on. Let this be a day of planetary revival. Let tomorrow, next week, and next year be the same. And let you look to find the faces of friends who will help you on your journey. Because above all, it is important to know you are not alone. All of us live with our challenges, our concerns, our daily demands that make it easy to get lost in our own heads. Religious community brings us out of that isolation and helps us recognize what we are, in fact, and what we can do together. Let us together, in love and purpose, join. We are not here to dwell upon doom and gloom. We are here to demonstrate a vision for how we can live with love and purpose in the face of the challenges in front of us. We will do this. Together, we will do this. And that was the words of Andrew Batcher that were shared all over the country today in Unitarian Universalist congregations. We will have many opportunities to talk about them a little bit after this, but mostly we're going to try to get those dialogues and other workshops going in later times. Thank you.